LambdaGeneration.
Hello people and welcome to a brand new episode of All Things Lambda, the community show where we talk about Half-Life and everything around it. Go grab something to drink and something to snack on because we're going to get started. We're starting this week off with some Portal-related news. It looks like the YouTube channel Upload VR has, well, uploaded some VR footage from the APERTURE Hands Labs demo for Valve's new controllers. The demo includes several training segments where you have to do stuff with your hands, like some high fives, rock, paper, scissors, and handshakes with robots. All that coated with the humor and flair that we're used to from the Portal franchise. If you want to see it for yourself, you can check it out by clicking the link in the description below. VANCE, the mod where you play as Alex Vance through an alternate version of Half-Life 2 story, has gotten a brand new media update. This media update shows some concept art for Alex herself. It looks like she decided to wear a black shirt instead of her more iconic leather jacket. We also have some art from the Elite Metro Cop, showing a rather buff design and a pair of menacing red eyes to accompany it. The last bit of character art shows a strange-looking assassin-type character model. We're not exactly sure what it's meant for, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. Apart from all that, we have some concept art for environments, some pretty high-quality looking weapon models, a work-in-progress model for an enemy type called the Sactic, and a fully finished Combine Assassin model that's actually working in-game. Last but certainly not least, the VANCE team has been working on some custom shaders to accompany the mod. They implemented stuff like ambient occlusion, FXAA, Gaussian bloom, a volumetric cloud system, and a new tone mapping variant. Mods are getting more advanced every time, eh? The mod is also looking for some team members, specifically programmers, modelers, mappers, and voice actors on both the male and female side. They're also looking for a voice actress for Alex, so if that sounds like an interesting opportunity for you, then you should head over to their Discord server. I've put a link to their ModDB page in the description below. Thunder's Leaves, the Half-Life 2 Episode 2 mod that lets you play as a rebel who has obtained some nifty Combine tech, is reaching out to the community because they're in need of voice actors. Currently, they're looking for VAs for Captain Colbert, a tired captain who's ready to fight in a pinch. He will be heard on the radio a lot. Next up is Engineer Felix, the inventor of the bunch. He's not really into battles all that much, but he does have a weapon called the Bazooka turret to keep enemies off of his back. Last up, we have Xander, an ambitious but old warrior who is always ready to fight. Some miscellaneous rebels will also need to be voiced. These don't have a whole lot to say, but they would need a voice still. If all this sounds very cool to you and you have some talent in your voice, you can get in contact with the developers via Steam, VK, and email. All of those are linked in the news post on ModDB, which you can find in the description below. Maker Sotiris Lagopatis has created a pretty awesome custom Half-Life 2 themed PC with a custom case and everything. This took him several months to create. He has documented the entire process on the Cooler Master community forums. The build includes a custom paint job with 3D printed and metal cut Half-Life 2 logos all over it. It also has a Gordon Freeman figurine in it. Look at him, all content with his environment and stuff. The specs of this build are somewhere along the budget side of things. For the CPU, it has an AMD Phenom 2 1100T. For its GPU, it's rocking an NVIDIA 8800 GT, which is a temporary card for now. The build also includes a Corsair SSD with a storage capacity of 120 GB, and the whole system is water-cooled with a fitting orange liquid. Pretty awesome. If you want to see more from this build, you can check out the entire forum thread by clicking on the link in the description below. Road to Pripyat Aftermath, an upcoming Half-Life 2 mod taking place in Ukraine, have recently released a media update that shows off some gameplay scenarios in pretty dark environments, and it looks pretty interesting. There's also a test with a rocket launcher that takes place in an outdoor environment that also looks pretty cool. Unfortunately though, the developer has lost a bunch of map files due to an error with their computer, so those maps would need to be recreated. They're also looking for programmers and composers to help out on the mod, so if you're interested in helping out, you can send the developer, Ukralife, a message on ModDB. A link to this article is in the description below. We got another gem from our Discord server. The user and modder Perspective has created a render in Blender of all the levels from Portal 1 in one map. Test Chamber 18 being the absolute largest one. The whole game being together like this sits at around 348,490 trees, and the interesting thing about it seems like that Portal 1 is constantly taking you upwards, which is kinda logical because you have the elevators and stuff, but it's still pretty interesting to see it in action. If you want to see more of it, I've linked a tweet in the description below. Alright, now for some weird news that nobody really saw coming. As it turns out, Half-Life Absolute Zero is going through a rebrand after receiving a takedown notice from an indie game studio called Giggle Horse Games. Apparently, they're developing a point-and-click adventure game called Absolute Zero. But here comes the shady part of all this. Apparently, Half-Life Absolute Zero was on ModDB earlier than Giggle Horse's Absolute Zero. Giggle Horse then proceeded to request a trademark for their name, and then proceeded to send a takedown notice to Half-Life Absolute Zero, even though they had the name way earlier than them. Granted, Cobalt57 didn't trademark the name, obviously, and what Giggle Horse is doing isn't exactly illegal either, but that doesn't mean that it isn't a dickish move towards the mod's developers. The fans of the mod were obviously so pissed off that they decided to raid the game's IndieDB page with images and comments from and about Half-Life Absolute Zero. But at the time of writing this, the images have been removed, even a whole load of comments have been cleaned up. But new ones are starting to slowly appear back on the page, as the community is still furious. Now at the current time, Giggle Horse hasn't officially responded to this yet, but when they do, I'll be sure to update the description with what they have to say. What I can say now though, is that Giggle Horse has kicked the wrong hornet's nest. And that was about the end of episode 46 of All Things Lambda. I hope you enjoyed every last second of it. Don't be sad though, we have our social media channels to keep you happy. They're on screen right now. We also have our very own Discord server which you can join to continue the conversation. Like what I do? Hell, that's awesome! I have my own YouTube channel called Glorious Rigby where I upload too. It's linked in the description below alongside my Twitter. It's @Farlumi. Now don't forget to subscribe and to ring that bell icon to never miss another episode of All Things Lambda. Salutations!